The World Ends With You, a game series with 2 great titles, 14 years apart. But what if it becomes a trilogy? More importantly, what would our newest little protagonist look like? Hi, call me Joe, and I asked Twitter to vote on helping me create the next protagonist for The World Ends With You 3. We have at least another 10 years to wait, so might as well have some fun speculating. For those not as obsessed as me, The World Ends With You, or more colloquially known as TWEWY, is an action RPG that came out on the Nintendo DS in 2007 and was awesome! Story, characters, soundtrack, gameplay, just so good in fact that it took Square almost 15 years to make a sequel, and also an anime. And what a sequel it was, just, in my personal opinion, another amazing game to play that lived up to the hype built up over a decade, in my personal opinion. But you're not here for a game review. The first game's protagonist is Neku Sakuraba, a wise-ass loner emo kid that doesn't like people and wears headphones to block out the haters. I'm using topical teen language here, as it was the 2000s, okay? In the second game, Neo The World Ends With You, we got Rindo Kanade, a passive cinnamon roll that needs to cut down on his screen time. You can kind of pick up on a theme going on when you go from one main character to the next, which makes most people wonder what the next protagonist in a future game could look like. Warning, there might be slight spoilers going into this video regarding the story and protagonist, so viewer discretion is advised. I won't spoil any major plot points though. There might just be some references you won't understand unless you've played the games yourself, which, by the way, you should absolutely do. Okay, again, not a game review. Anyway, I made 3 polls on Twitter where I asked 3 specific things. What should be the next protagonist's primary color, outward gender appearance, and eyewear? After I got my answers, I started designing. I made a mood board where I dropped in notes and images to get the creative juices flowing and to work off of. For the gender appearance, the large majority vote was for an androgynous look. So I went off to find bits of fashion that were somewhere in the middle of masculine and feminine, or at least something that any gender could wear comfortably. Fashion plays a big role in The World Ends With You, and not just for the looks. Your choice and combination of clothes give you stat bonuses, and affect your effectiveness in battle when you wear a certain brand. Judging on looks alone, we're going for something Instagram-worthy. I'm actually reminded of a video from another creator who did a review on a manga called Shibuya Goldfish, which, by the way, The World Ends With You also takes place in Shibuya, where he mentions that if Shibuya were a person, they'd be a pretentious hipster, and I thought that was hilarious. Because I've never been to Tokyo, but just by looking at the fashion coming out of The World Ends With You, I get it. So we're going for a sort of comfortable, high fashion that's normal in the locale but could be perceived as weird anywhere else that's not Japan. I mean, when I first saw Neku's clothes, I was like, what is this color? Square Enix. What? Also, shout out to Fried Ranker, who made the Shibuya Goldfish review and is also another South African creator. I'll link the video in the description. I know I wanted the clothes to be baggy and have layers to it. I didn't headcanon a specific gender identity for the protag. I wanted to leave that up to interpretation for the viewer, where they can apply their own theories by keeping the character as vague as possible. Baggy clothes and a lot of layers are good at hiding the most identifying bits. I had a few concepts drawn out, and there was this one kind of punk look that I was really into, but I realized I was applying my own personal fashion choices and preferences on this dude, so I scrapped it. Mix and match the ideas, I took a step back, got some feedback, and reviewed. Also backing my statement that I didn't give them a specific gender identity, I used dude as a gender neutral term when referring to people. Hell, I used dude when referring to inanimate objects. Ultimately, this is what I came up with for their clothes, which I thought was a good compromise between other designs while keeping the style a mix and match of other styles. And for those nerds paying attention, I did use clothing brands that feature in the game as a reference. Mainly Monocro, Il Cavallo del Re,
Il Cavallo del Re,
Tigre Punks, and of course Jupiter of the Monkey. Your TWEWY dork has to rock some GOTM. Also Gatonero jewelry. Mr. Mew Supremacy. The hair was a little harder to figure out. Neku and Rendo each have something about their hair that makes it stand out as main character hair. Since Neku's hair is spiky and straight and Rendo's has more of a curl to his, I thought messy could work, but like messy on purpose. A mix between Neku's "I spent a lot of money on this haircut" and Rendo's hair that looks like he spent a whole 4 seconds in front of a mirror to toss it around a little bit. So we have this rough pompadour with a splash of bright color at the tips. And by the way, I'm never drawing this character again after this video, because drawing their hair is a masse peerwoord, and drawing it consistently is a trial that has taken years off my life. Going into this, I knew this character was going to have some sort of eyewear. For anyone who didn't notice this before, I'm about to blow your minds. Fans of the series theorized that the main character seemed to be based off of the 3 wise monkeys. Hear no evil, referring to Neku's headphones, and speak no evil, referring to Rendo's face mask. Then it stands to reason that see no evil could mean that the next protagonist would be wearing some kind of eyewear. I know. People on the Twitter voted for sunglasses. Which, okay, I was really surprised that goggles were a close second. Almost made a Digimon Season 11 Wait, there are 10 seasons of Digimon. The last Digimon I remember watching on TV was Frontier. Sunglasses then. I had a pair picked out, but it wasn't really protagonist worthy. But I couldn't think of any unique variations of sunglasses, and was gonna go with something fancy and expensive to contrast the rest of the clothes. Now that I think about it, I just remembered these things, and I guess they could have been an option. But can these be considered sunglasses when they... Well, I guess they can block out the sun, and half of everything else. But then, literally the following day, I spied these beauties in a YouTube video.
For time theft.
Oh, cool glasses.
It's hard to pay attention to anything but the glasses.
And I was like, yes! This was the eye-catching, what in the high fashion kind of thing this fit needed. Finally, the choices for the main color poll were determined by looking at the primary colors for Neku and Rendo, then finding a hue somewhere in the middle or a satisfying complementary color. Playing with the color wheel, I picked red, green, and blue. It was a close vote, but red got it. I was actually hoping for green, but hey, red works. I like red. The final fit ended up having less red than I would have liked, but putting a vibrant red anywhere else felt like a little bit too much. I also wasn't sure exactly what color I wanted for the unnatural color dye in their hair. For a long while I was gonna go with orange, since it's a color that ties all 3 protagonists together, but decided to give them a hue that kind of clashes with the rest of their attire. It will make sense for the headcanons later on. Listen, I like to think I put a lot of thought into character designs, and I obsessively add narrative to every little thing I added to their appearance, but with color, it's honestly like throwing darts at a color wheel while blindfolded for me. I'm trying to get better with color though, so let me cook. And here's our little homebrewed main character. While I run the speed drawing of the splash art in the back, I'll indulge some of the headcanons for their personality and the current state of Shibuya and the rest of the world as if the game were to come out in 2024. As mentioned before, the main characters incorporate the 3 wise monkeys, and for each character, it is speculated that it is related to their personality in some way. For Neku, hear no evil, it's his headphones. He blocks out the world and avoids interacting with people, having a selfish and unsociable attitude. As the first game continues, he breaks out of his self-made prison and starts learning about others by letting them in. Rendo, speak no evil, wears a face mask, technically. Although he does speak, he doesn't say out loud what he really wants to and lets others make decisions for him. His story sees him becoming more outspoken and taking charge of the responsibilities that are thrust upon him. our fake protagonist, see no evil, wears sunglasses. I speculated that they actively choose to avoid seeing things and avoid any discussions on matters thereof. This relates more to the state of the world and the dire moments they are physically present in. They grew up in a world of social media and short-form content, which constantly broadcasts bad news, actions of selfish people, and vicious human behavior, because that's what goes viral. With every new post, swipe, and tap, their hopelessness continues to fester. A helplessness that nothing they do will make a difference. That, coupled with past experiences that ingrained in them the feeling that they can't do anything right or nothing ever works out. So they stop trying. They favor short-term enjoyment over long-term success. They are distracted easily from important tasks because they would rather find another quick dopamine hit, which makes them come off as lazy and scatterbrained.
Gonna see me rise, you hate on that. I don't play both sides, doing me no cap. I'm a ride or die for my dreams on tap. I'm a fly real high, you ain't see me slack. No, it's not how you fall, it's how you get right back up. That's how you get tough. Calluses on my hands so rough, yeah, I call your bluff. I'm not the one, mess with me, come out with none. Cause I'm so done, you had your fun. And now you're gonna face down the barrel of the gun. Cause I got a full clip, put your name on it. But I'ma let you slide cause you ain't worth it.
Although there is a suppressed glimmer of hope in them, which is communicated through their actions and attire. They dress audaciously because they want to be seen. Like a poisonous frog, their appearance scares away enemies and invites in potential partners and other like-minded individuals. They subconsciously scream out for their tribe, hoping there is someone that will see past their disguise and instill hope for the world in them. As their story continues, they will learn that you are the one that needs to start seeking happiness to be able to see it. Despite all the bad they see, they accept that those things exist, but that there are good people and wonderful things if you do the effort to look for them. They can't control other people, but they find happiness in the things they can control. Thanks for watching! I used some prompts as guidance, but what do you think of my take on the third World Ends With You protag? Maybe you have a headcanon for the main character, in which case please feel free to share. Ultimately, this character and design was still influenced by my own experiences and intake of media. I'm not Japanese and I've never lived in Japan, so I know there are great pieces of subtext that can be applied from someone who has experience living in Japan in the past decade. Quick shout out to my best buddy Unique for their feedback on some of the designs and their unending support, as well as my World Ends With You mutuals who I always love hearing scream at me in uppercase. Have a lacquer day and remember to tip your artists.